So I'm going to take stock of what dahlias I've done or got. Now in here I've got a dahlia that only grew foliage this year, didn't actually grow a plant. Just beside it I've put a dark leaf dahlia in, which I believe has orange flowers on it. It was only small, so in the big trough here I'm going to see what happens next year with the two dahlias there, and I'm going to mulch them up with some composted bark to see how they get on. And here I'm going to do the same. This is a nice white one. What I like about this one is when the heads dry or come to an end, they dry almost like paper flower to sort of keep the shape, but it's almost like a paper texture, which obviously still deadhead them, but it's just a bit more interesting than the normal deadhead you see. So yeah, I'm going to do the same with that trough, bit of composted bark, mulch it up. That was left in there last year and it came back this year, so it should be fine. In here I'm going to change it. These are dinner plate dahlias, they've been here a few years. There used to be an orange one, a red one and a white one all together, but the red one hasn't come back 2 years in a row now. The white one and the orange one has. This one is probably the best, and it's got a nice dark stem. This one is also nice, but it's a bit weaker in the stem. Big strong flower, but it's a bit weaker and often needs to be staked or it just falls down. So that is the problem with that one. As you can see, it ends up tilted that way and gets weather damaged. So my plan with these two is I'm going to lift them out, because I've been in there say 3 years now, 4 years. Lift them out and I'm going to put them into pots, and I'm going to stand them at the back of the garden, which we'll see in a minute. And I'm going to use this area here for some more sort of salvias, sages, lavenders, things I can just change often, bulbs, tulips, daffodils. And they're just two galvanised tubs, the old fashioned water tanks. So that's that side. Over here, I haven't got one in here. To be decided if I'm going to put one in there. Not right now. In here I have. So this is a dark leaf one with completely white petals and a nice little bit of dark on the back. Now that's actually in here, and that came back this year. That was fine, so I think again I'll leave that there. I'm tempted to put one in here, but I've recently put an echinacea in there to add something a bit different, because the echinaceas in my garden don't survive in the borders. I've lifted them out of the borders and I've put them in to these troughs, so you can see there's a couple in there, one there. So this time next year I'll be able to see how the troughs have done for echinaceas. I've got one to go in there. There's one to go in that trough there as well, which is there. And then, as you can see, the Rebecchias in the garden all do well. Deleniums in the garden all do well. No concern there. Quite happy with the clear water retaining soil, which I've been working on for over 10 years now. So they're happy. Back onto the dahlias, so I've got two more here. This one is a nice one. I think I grew this from a cutting last year. And it's a nice colour, nice shaped head. And I'm going to leave that in there. Quite nice pots. Excuse all of the toys. We're in the middle of tidying for winter. And this one is, I think it's a red colour flower. I'm just going to wait for this to open so I can actually take note. That's mainly why I do these videos as well. I'm starting to do these videos now is because I put labels in them, and I've got waterproof labels. I've got tried pencil, tried slate, dynamo. I've got like a dynamo label writer, and nothing ever seems to last long term. You've got to keep on top of refreshing the labels, and it's a bit of a pain. So I'm hoping by doing the videos I can actually remember and watch them back. That is the plan. So there's them two there. Obviously I've got no Dahlias in the borders because they won't survive. Ground's too wet, clay, thick. So this back bit here, starting from there, going all the way to that side, is roses. There's 7 in. I put them in this year. I've relocated from different parts of the garden, and the idea is to make this full back section full of roses, and then in between the roses, so for example that gap there, standard dahlia. So it'll be standard dahlia in there, 3 roses around it, standard dahlia in there, 3 roses around it, so on and so forth, all the way along. And then I can add some different heights in. And then this year on the back of the fence, I've put in a rose. I think on that side I've got one Clarence house, which is about a 10-foot rose, climbing rose to cover that full section. I've got another variety similar on that back fence, which is a white rose. And then I've got like a peach rose over on that fence. I'd recently put this trellis up all the way along that side. I've got some new trellis coming for the back, which is going to tidy and neaten up the full back, because as you can see, it's all old trellis just thrown up. So that's my next part of my project will be to put some nice trellis panels up to improve its look. So yeah, in terms of the dahlias, in this one I've got a nice dark leaf one with a yellow centre. It's really nice, this one. Don't really see them very often like this. Got this from the Birmingham Flower Show, Gardeners World Live this year. I've enjoyed that one. This one coming to an end. This is another version of the other one you've seen earlier on that turns into paper. You can hear what I mean. But it's very wet. We've had storms and wind and rain for the last few days, hence all the water trapped. So again, that I think I might move into a different pot. I've been using these buckets with the handles on. You get them off Amazon as a 4-pack. And they're brilliant because you can just lift them in and out. So obviously I've just planted that acer tree into one and I stand it in a bin. That's just an old dustbin, and it just gives it a bit more height. I do that with all the acers. It's really, really good. Because it's in a bin as well, it allows the water to drain through into the bottom of the bin. You can either tip it out or you can just put a hole in the bottom of the bin. It's really good. That dahlia there is probably my oldest dahlia. That entire pot is full of a rock hard tuber. It's massive. It's a bright yellow one. It's coming to an end now, but it stands about 6 foot tall, completely fine. Doesn't have any doesn't need any staking. Just happy. It lasts for ages. So that's a brilliant one. So I'm going to split that one into 2. I'm going to then repot it in to 2 of them buckets, because that's an old pot now. It's broken in some places, and have a couple of them dotted around because it's a really good one. The factory draft stake, it's brilliant. All the birds are coming back for the bird food. What are you doing in here? Yeah, I'll be gone in a minute. Been getting lots of blue tits into the garden recently, as well as some finches, sparrows, which is always good to see. Again, this is another dark dahlia. Bit of a pink stripe in this one. So it is different to the previous one over in the trough. And it's got pink veins in the back of it as well. Again, I think I'm going to take that out of that bin. It's too small, that dustbin for it. Just an old paper waste bin. I mean, perfect for things like this. This is a pink berry, just a variation of a blueberry bush, and it doesn't really ever give any fruit, but it just looks nice in winter. It goes well with like the dogwood. It's almost just like I use it as a decorative winter bush. So this I'm going to put into the floor around here. So yeah, I've got these galvanized troughs everywhere. They're fantastic. Really worth picking up from Facebook or places. Now this is another dahlia which is coming to an end. I mean, look at that one. Look at that, it's brilliant. Superb. That again needs to be in a new pot because all that pot's broken. Need to label it up, so I'll be doing that shortly. Finally, this is the last one. Is this one which has been absolutely mullered by the weather, but look at that. It's a big one. It's been frost damage. We had the first frost this morning. No damage on it. Nice. It's a shame. But it's that time of year. So that looks like it's going to need some attention. So yeah, that is basically the reminder from the Dahlia section. And as I say, it's the 11th of October. Probably a couple more weeks before I've got to chop these dahlias back and then start the mulching. And make sure, whatever I do, don't leave them in the soil, stood on the soil. I'm going to use this area here with stones. And I've got an area around the back of the greenhouse with stones. So that is the plan. That is the plan. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what that back fence does look like once the new panels are on. Probably be doing that beginning of next year. At the same time, I'm doing the extension of the patio. So basically taking it out to that corner there and then go straight across. I want to have a bit more space, so when I'm coming down the footpath and you're coming out to here, I can just sit here. My daughter can play on a bike and run around a bit more, and when it's winter like this, you can just come out and actually use this area for putting a burning bin on there, a bit of fire, a little fire to sit on the chair and use it. So I'm going to do that. Gives us a bit of space for the paddling pole and things, and then we have a little bit of grass left over then for walking around. It's always nice. So yeah, that is the Dahlia update. I think coming soon I'll be doing my potting on update so I can remember what I've put in what pots. And birds now know I've gone, so they're in for the kill.